Good afternoon, boys and girls. You have the luxury of not seeing me today, which is probably a good thing. And this week's question was, how can flies stick to ceiling while we can't? You had a load of good answers, lots of different and interesting ideas, and it's always good to see what you come up with. So let's have a think about it. There's a nice close-up of a fly. How cool is that? Amazing little pieces of engineering. You can't really doubt it. And you can see their feet there. And what we can do is we can zoom in on their feet super close up. So this is a real close-up of a fly's foot. Now, I'm betting you're looking at that big claw and going, whoa, no way, it looks like a monster claw. But that's exactly what a fly's foot looks like. And you're probably also thinking, aha, so that fly grabs onto the ceiling by the hooks. But no, he doesn't. A few of you got this, actually. Can you see all those hairs at the end of his foot? The white things here. What they actually do is they squirt out a mixture of oils and sugars, which make a kind of sticky paste. And that is what sticks a fly to any surface. So what the fly does, he uses his big, flat, paddy foot, and he squishes all the hairs onto the surface. And then the oils stick him to wherever surface he's on. That's why he can stick to glass, he can stick to anything. But a bit like when you've got Velcro and you've got some Velcro on your shoes, he has to pull himself free from this, and that's quite tricky. So what he can do is he can twist his foot, or he can pull his foot, or he can sort of move his foot in a sort of circular motion, and that helps to take his foot off the surface. But what those claws are for are also to push him off the surface. So the claws aren't there to hold him on, the claws are there to push him off. And you might be thinking, oh my goodness, you think of when I sort of get my Velcro, it takes a long while for it to go rip and take me off. And you think of how fast a fly moves when you try and swat a fly. So that movement he is making is super, super fast. But that's because that fly's foot is really very, very tiny. And what you're seeing there is a real close-up. There's one last thing to look at with flies, and that you might already know. Ooh, look at those balloons sticking to the ceiling. So this is called an electrostatic force. Some of you will have learned this in science already. Some of you might have just stuck some balloons to a wall. Not going to go into the whys and wherefores of this right now, but flies also stick to a ceiling using a little bit of this force. Now, why am I telling you all this? Why did I choose this question? I think I chose it this week because it's kind of got to do with engineering and you look into the future and thinking about what you might want to do when you grow up. Scientists look at animals. They look at them really closely, and the ones that are interested in this sort of thing think, why is that happening? And they also look at things like geckos. Now, geckos kind of hang on in a very similar way to flies when it comes to electrostatic force. They have very, very furry feet, although it doesn't look like it. And all of that furry feet, the way they move it about, helps them to stick to a surface because they sort of use the electrostatic force to stick to a surface. And engineers have looked at geckos' feet really closely and thought, aha, that's how they do it. And the cool thing about that is then they go away and they try to build machines that can copy them. So this video here, I'm just about hopefully to play. These people have built a fake gecko foot. And there is no glue involved with this at all. All that's happening here is they're using that furriness of a gecko's foot. And how clever is this? Look, you can stick to something and then it stops sticking to it just by using that kind of a gecko foot. And the cool thing is, these can stick to absolutely anything. So they've made this gecko foot. Look, doesn't stick. And make it like that. Sticks to an egg, stick to a tomato, stick to a lemon. You imagine all the different uses they could have for this. So these people, they go into their labs and they try and sort things out, and make things like animals make, and then they go and bring this into the real world. Now that actually happened with Velcro. Velcro was made in the same sort of way by somebody who thought, how can I replicate what I'm seeing in nature? You might do that one day. You might have a very cool job where you go and try and work something out. And you might change the world with what you do. How cool is that? And that's this week's question.